Welcome back, everyone, to the Abundance Formula podcast. I am finally back in the country, everyone. I was out of the country in Belize for a week speaking for a women's retreat. It was so much fun. It was on building impact and influence and creating the life that you want. And so it was wonderful. I love all those topics, was with a great group of women. It was incredible. In fact, it was actually so much fun. One of the women that came on the trip, her friend kind of talked her into coming. And it was hilarious because she actually thought that she was coming on a yoga retreat. And so literally after the first day where we've like done swimming with sharks and all these things pushing you outside your comfort zone. And then she, at the end of each evening, we would, at dinner, ask everyone to say a key takeaway and their win for the day. And so on the very first night, she was like, well, key takeaway, this is not a yoga retreat. And it was so it became kind of the running joke of the trip of like, as we do something crazy like ATV four wheeling through the jungle as it's pouring rain and deep mud. It was amazing. I'd be like, so how's the yoga retreat going? It was awesome. But she was like, she was such an easygoing person and hilarious. And so, yeah, it was really fun. We had just the best group of women, so many great listeners. This was a retreat where everyone really just wanted to hear everyone and learn about everybody. And sometimes that's hard to find. A lot of times, a lot of people like to talk about themselves, which is also fine. Like there's a lot of that to be done on this retreat as we're all learning about each other and how we can help each other go where we want to go in life. But so many people just authentically wanted to listen and support the other person. So that was awesome. Everyone had great personalities. It was a blast. The weather was amazing. It rained a little bit more than it did last time, but it's pretty much kind of like Florida where it just was sort of spotty rain here or there and not for very long. And for us, it always happened at the perfect timing, like when you maybe want to take an afternoon nap or just sort of have some journaling time in your room. Or when we went four wheeling, it rained in the morning and we did the four wheeling in the morning. So it was perfect for it to be pouring down while we were driving these four wheelers through the jungle in some deep mud. If you follow me on Instagram, I was posting a lot of that. It was a blast. I loved it being in the rain. And then it stopped perfectly by the time we went and transitioned to doing zip lining through the jungle. It was sunny and warm and clear skies. It was great. Like we just had all of the things. So it was an amazing retreat, amazing women, amazing adventures. It's always one of my key takeaways is even though I'm extroverted, I like routine. And so even with people, it's easy to just be in your routine of who you hang out with, or, even when you meet new people at a retreat like this, and you finally gotten to know a couple people, it's easy at the dinner table to want to kind of gravitate towards sitting next to them. And I always, when I do retreats like this or whatever, try to purposely sit by someone different every time, like kind of push yourself outside your comfort zone to sit by somebody new and get to know that person and not just get comfortable with one person or two people, like really get to know everyone. So I just really did enjoy getting to know every single person that came. There was like 12 women. So it was fantastic. Had a great time, but it was it was kind of a crazy, it's been a crazy past 3 weeks because the week before Belize, I was of course getting ready with content, helping the host with anything that she needed help with as far as planning. But then so much sickness was going around here in Tennessee, and my kids' school, my oldest school, even closed finally because the flu and other sickness was just rampant through the school. They finally just shut it down. I actually kept Malia home one day voluntarily just because I knew that like half her class was out sick with the flu, including the teacher. And I was like, I just cannot get sick right now. So I kept her home one day, but then literally by the end of that week, the school closed voluntarily. So I was just hoping and praying that whole week. I was upping the vitamins and skipped even some workouts and just rested and tried to sleep in, and like I made it out alive. So then I got to Belize. Belize was great. And then literally the week I got back from Belize, well, while I was in Belize, Malia got this like little, it looked like a cold sore on her lip, but then it like got bigger and looked worse. And so by the time I got back from the trip, long story short, took her to the doctor. At first and then it started up on Sailor, so it was clearly spreading. So they thought it was ringworm. Long story short, was on a cream for that. Turned out not to be that, turned out to be impetigo. So they're on all the medications, and then our dog had something go wrong with his eye, so I had to get a prescription cream for his eye. So literally like the last 2.5 weeks, I've been putting creams 3 times a day on all of our children, the fur baby and our real children, and giving oral medications 3 times a day. Now we're supposed to give bleach baths once a night, like a quarter cup of bleach in a full bathtub. Like it's felt like a part-time job with all the creams and things that everybody's needing. But anyways, so and then of course just when you get back from any trip, let alone being out of the country, of course, like there's so many work emails that have piled up and just all the things to catch up on. Valentine's Day was that week, so the kids had Valentine's parties to make sure you had their Valentine's goodies ready. And I told Kellen when I was gone, I was like, bless your heart, like of all the school weeks that he was going to have to manage all the things, all of a sudden everything was happening. There was a spirit day. There was they were celebrating 100 days of school. So they were supposed to dress up as old people. And like, I mean, there was so many things he had to keep track of. Sailor had picture day signups. And so there was things to sign and send back. Like there were so many things he had to juggle. So he did a good job. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind of the past 3 weeks. And but it's all great. Busy is wonderful. Got some new projects I'm starting, which is a lot of fun. But that brings me to our topic for today. So just that was a brief life recap, trip recap, because everybody's been asking me about Belize, how it was, all the things. So there's just a really brief synopsis. But to tie into the thing I want to chat about today in our little solo episode is on the trip, one of the common themes that I found amongst the women in talking to them was, okay, we help them hone in like, hey, what does your dream life look like? The dream impact you want to create. Some of them already had businesses or are starting businesses. And so like creating that vision, getting a lot of clarity around it, helping them set up action steps of what to do next. But a lot of them and then we did one-on-one sessions where we split up the women each half and half. And so then we had our own one-on-one coaching sessions with them. And so a commonality I was finding, and I get this from even like people on like in person that ask me, other clients and on social media, a lot of people struggle with, okay, even if you get through the first step, which is like getting really clear on what you want to do or create, that's one important step. And that's hard for a lot of people to get as clear as you can and get started and start saying what action steps you want to do. But then people struggle with, how do I actually now implement this into my already really busy life and season, especially if you're wanting to shift into a new place or you're creating something new. You're basically adding a new thing on into your current busy schedule. Say, even if it's starting a side hustle that eventually, yes, you'd love to transition into, but until it's to a place where you can do that, then you're juggling it along with the other job you have and parenthood or whatever the things you've got that you're juggling. And so a lot of people struggle with, how do I actually start building this dream life amongst this current busy season and schedule? How do I even make it work? Because I can even be really clear on the vision, know where I want to go, know the impact I want to make, be really passionate about it, and even have a list of action steps to get started. But now how do I plug them in and like do it all? How do you do it all is a question I get from a lot of people. And so one of the most helpful things that I found over the past few years, the things that was really amped up in business and the kids' activities and all the things, Ed Mylett, you guys know I've talked about him so much. He's one of my favorite personal development gurus, speakers, and he has this really amazing framework that when implemented, it helps you to be able to be so productive, really organized in your brain and in your schedule, helps you time block, it helps you feel less guilty as you're doing things. It helps with so many things. So I want to kind of talk you through this framework. And then I was even going to give you an example of how, like, for example, in my current schedule, I've mapped it out. So mapping is really hard for a lot of people, and time blocking. And a lot of people struggle with that. And I'm even an organized person, and it takes a minute to like sit down and develop this as you hit new seasons. Like Malia, I've mentioned on here a couple times. Malia started kindergarten last year in August, this school year. And it was like jumping into a new season. She'd been in pre-K before, but it was a whole different season to her have to be at school, which for us, her school is like 35, 40 minutes away by 7:45. It made me have to start prepping her school things earlier. Sailor started school. So 3 days of the week, I'm getting myself ready for work, Sailor ready for school, Malia ready for school. We have to be there earlier. Like there's just a lot of coordinating. So it really threw my normal routine off, my workout schedule, work, all the things. It was a big switch up. So it took me even a minute to get this framework resituated. So I wasn't feeling like I was in chaos or failing left and right, whether failing in motherhood, failing on my business, or not, just not measuring up for my own self. And so I think a lot of you guys feel that way. You either feel guilty while you're working on your business because you should be with your kids. You feel guilty being with your kids because you should be working on your business, or you're just stressed and anxious and you just feel like you're flying by the seat of your pants, which there's going to be a balance of. You're going to feel that way in a lot of areas. But this really helps you stay organized and really intentional, because the key with creating the life you want and leveling up your life and creating impact and influence is intentionality. You have to not only get clear on what you want, make action steps to do that, but then you have to get really intentional about the implementation process. And anything that you're doing, any of these really successful people that you see are so intentional with everything they do, from the people they spend their time with, loved ones, friends, what collaborations they take on, which ones they don't. Like, everything is a very intentional move towards their vision in any of the areas of life that's important to them, their core values. So like if it's their health and wellness, if it's their their career fulfillment, their business, if it's their relationships, whatever their core value categories are, then all of those need to fit into this framework. And so Ed Mylett does it in such a great way. And what he's phrased it as is he calls it like the 3-day framework. So he basically has laid out this framework so that you can get like 3 work days, not work. It's not all work. You'll see that in a second. Basically 3 efficiency days within your 24 hours, and still not lack on your sleep and your rest and all the things that you want. So his 3-day framework looks like this. So first I'm going to tell you what it looks like in general, like how he just lays it out in general, but then how you can kind of divide it up to what your life is looking like. Because in the season I'm in right now, it's not the perfect blanket time zone that he sets, but it's the concept, right? So the breakdown of his 3 mini days are this. The first day, again, you'll adjust the times for yourself for your windows, but 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's your first 6-hour quote work day or day, the things you need. Again, you're mixing in work, play, family, all these things are going to be all throughout this 24-hour period. So your first day, he suggests focusing on from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. morning routines, workouts, deep work, and high priority tasks. The second day is from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. meetings, calls, projects, social interactions. And the third day is 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. family time, personal development, relaxation, and evening tasks. So you can look at this for your own life, and it really makes it so much easier. It's all the same 24 hours, but when you've really kind of category blocked it and then time blocked it, and then thought of what little subsets go into those little categories, it makes it so much easier. And then in each segment, you can feel really good about what you've committed to in that segment because you pre-established it. It's part of the plan. If you had family time in this one, then you can feel fine about working in the next one because you had the family time, right? So I'll show you how I've had to adjust it to meet my personal season right now. So again, his first 6-hour period is from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. For me to get my morning workout and my things in, again, you don't have to work out at this segment. Like pretty much in each of his 6 segments, he gives you a space where you're doing something for, routine or workout, health, wellness, whatever, relationships. There's basically a work thing and a not work thing, or work things, or house, things you've got to get done. So there's usually a mix in each 6-hour segment. And so what I've done is, okay, so if you can't work out in the mornings, that might be something in your second day, right? So you just map it out. So for me, this is what this looks like. So let me pull this up for me. Okay. So I'm going to skip kind of Saturday, Sunday. We're going to focus, say, on the work week because that's going to be the hardest for people. So for me, my first day, say on a Monday, these are my Monday, Wednesday, Fridays are my busier days because that's my well, they're all busy. Anyways, I'll give you an example of all of them. So Mondays, my first day goes from 4 a.m., the first 6-hour period, 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. In that time frame, I get my 30 minutes of cardio in, an hour of weightlifting, 10 minutes of devotional time. I'm prepping the girls to get their school things together and myself for things to go for work. And then I drop the girls off at school. And with their Gigi, who takes Sailor to school, right? I do the drop-offs and I head to my practitioner job. Okay. So, and for me and my detailed calendar too. So like, in general what you're doing, but then I've literally mapped it out. Like the first thing I do is, so I wake up at 4 a.m. I start cardio by 4:30. I'm done with cardio by 5. I weight train from 5 to 6. And from 6 to 7 a.m., I get myself and both girls ready for work and school. We leave the house between 7:15, drop Sailor off on my way to take Malia to school with her Gigi, and then I take Malia to school by 7:45, 8 o'clock. Then from there, I go to my practitioner job, which luckily is 5 minutes away, right? So again, I've already got this literally in order. So I know when everything's happening in that 6 hour period. The second day is 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for me. So from 10 a.m. to 2:30, I'm working. That's focused work. It's a practitioner day. I leave at 2:30 to go pick Malia up. And so from 2:30 to 4 p.m., I'm just breaking down this segment for you guys. I go pick up the kids, get home, and it's family time and just really being present with them and relaxing for a bit. Okay, so I'm giving the kids some time. So then the third day is from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. So from 4 to 5 p.m., I'm still relaxing with family, focusing on the kids. And then from 5 to 7 is some more work. This is when I have clients to train, maybe podcasts to edit, this new project I'm working on, moving the needle forward there, right? So from 5 to 7, I've got stuff committed to get work stuff done. I try to structure that work, if it's not training physical clients, to be things I can do still kind of hanging out with them. Like if I'm writing, like tonight, it'll be writing some nutrition plans, things I can do while I'm with them too. But it's focused work time, and they know that. So then from 7 to 10 p.m., like I don't do work after that. It's no clients are going to be happening after 7 p.m., right? That's the cutoff time. So then from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. is cooking dinner, any necessary household chores. If I got to throw some laundry in for needing something for the next day, hanging out with the girls, doing our bedtime routines. We usually like to do a family movie night some nights. Sometimes it's Monday, sometimes it's Friday, right? So from that 7 to 10 p.m. is committed to family time. Kellen gets home somewhere around then. We hang out. It's family time. So that's an example of a breakdown of how a Monday looks for me. I get 3 very efficient days in. Like if you haven't mapped it out, then you'll kind of go willy-nilly. You'll kind of take things as they come. You might miss some things. You might forget the workout. You might, again, if you're doing work, you'll feel bad because you feel like you should be with your kids. But see, for me, when I've laid it out with his framework, I know I've spent great quality time with the girls. So then when it comes to the time I got to focus on my clients or focus on getting some things done, they've had some really great focused time. And they know that, and they've already felt that. They're not feeling neglected. So then when I'm doing my work, I can feel really good about that work and not guilty and not stressed, because I also know I'm getting a lot of stuff done. So just being mapped out, and you can see it, especially in your calendar, you'll know you're staying as well-rounded as you possibly can. And I always recommend, if you can get your workout or your health and fitness stuff done as early in the day possible is better, because for me, I know just the more day comes along, the more variables there are. And so the more likely it is that I'm probably not going to get it done. I'm just going to be more tired. So I'll feel great after that's done. Even if I'm a little tired because I got up early, I'll feel great knowing I've gotten that done. Wonderful. It's not hanging over my head. Whereas if I didn't get it done, I'm thinking about how I'm going to try to fit it in the rest of the day. So just when you've mapped it out, it makes you feel so much better about each activity that's coming next, because it's part of your roadmap. It's part of your framework. One thing Ed Mylett also says that I absolutely love, and I talked about this on the retreat, is that a big shift in ways you'll increase your achievement levels is, instead of saying what goals do you have, call them standards, not goals. Because goals have a little bit of flexibility to it. Like, no, I didn't hit it. But like if something's a standard for you, it's a lot more important. Like you make it happen. Like when you go to work, like every job that you're going to go to has a job description, and they don't tell you like, hey, so if you feel like getting this done today, or you feel like fulfilling this role, that'd be great. It's like, no, this is your job. This is the standard of this position. And if you want to keep your job, you're going to measure up or go above and beyond. And so it's when you're showing up for your job, you're not like, maybe I'll do this. And when there's obstacles, you're not like, well, maybe I'll get it done, or, oh, I just was too tired. It was just too hard. Like, no, you get it done because it's the standard of your role. It's your job description. So it's a little harder when we're just our own boss in these other areas of our lives, like our relationships or our health and fitness, right? You're responsible for holding that standard for yourself. But it's a big shift, even in terminology, to go from saying it's my goal to take a 10-minute walk each day, or to lift weights for 20 minutes, or to whatever, do some yoga. It's a different thing to be like, oh, it's a goal I would like. Saying it's a goal is like, I'd like to have that. Whereas you're like, it's my standard to take care of my health so I can be here as long as I can for my kids and be as mobile and healthy as I can to do stuff with them as they want to do more things. That's a standard for me. So I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to put it in my schedule and I'm going to stick to it. And it's going to become habit and routine and part of my flow. I'm going to feel like off if I don't get it in as part of my routine. So that's just a fun little word shift for you guys to start making for yourself and realize what things in your life have you said they're strong goals for you, but are they just fluffy goals, or are they actually a standard? Have they jumped up to that next level of importance for you? And if they haven't, start looking at your why factor, your why power, and that might need to upgrade for those things if they really need to be priorities for you, or maybe they really aren't high priorities. And that's fine too. It helps you kind of organize, the order of importance. So that was a Monday. I'll throw in an example of a Tuesday because Tuesdays are my work from home day. And so it looks a little bit, the hours blocks are still the same, but it looks a little different. So I'll give you an example of that because for any of you work from home parents, this is what this will feel like. Because this is a stay at home mom day, but it's definitely a work day as well. So Tuesdays, first day, 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. 30 minutes cardio gets in there, the 1 hour of weights. I prep Mylett for school. Sailor doesn't have school that day. Prep Mylett for school, take Sailor with me, and we drop Mylett off at school. We come back, and I start training clients. My first client starts at 9 a.m. So second day, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I have morning clients. So I train my clients, and then I'm done with that at about noon. And then I have time to just hang out with Sailor. We play. And then I alternate between this 10 to 4 p.m. before we go pick Mylett up from school. Focus time with Sailor, throw in some laundry in, right? There's some household tasks that need done that I cycle while I'm from home, like the laundry, make sure the dishes are done, things like that. Sailor, household things that need done, and some work stuff, moving the needle forward on my project. Maybe record a podcast because Sailor will go play on her own or record some solo episodes or edit podcasts, right? So any of the work things I need to do that I can do while she's playing, I set those in. I know ahead of time what I'm going to work on. So that'll happen. And then we'll go pick up Mylett at 2:30 again. So 2:30 to 4 p.m. looks like picking Mylett up. We get home and again have some more focused family time. Because then in the third day from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., I train some more clients. And again, all of the clients and work focus is done by 7 p.m. And then from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. is just, again, focused family time, cooking dinner, any other necessary house chores that need finished up, and bedtime routines, that kind of stuff. So again, you get the idea. It's all so I've established that my 6-hour 3-day framework works like that. I've shifted basically up 2 hours from what his was because I know I don't function as well till 12 p.m. Right. So, and I'm still getting 6 hours of sleep, which for me is plenty. If you need 7 hours, you can shift the time frame a little bit so you're getting the 7 hours of sleep. Maybe that evening time frame doesn't go till, again, if you're doing the 6 to 12 thing like he was, maybe it's not going to 12, it's going to 11 or vice versa, right? Shift the hours if you need to fit what you do need as far as sleep goes or whatever. But for me, 6 hours is great. So I'm totally functional and fine with that. So for me, I just needed to shift the framework up a couple hours, going to bed and usually with the girls, we're to bed between 9 and 10 p.m. I usually lay down with them to get them to sleep. That's just how they roll. And I'm usually so exhausted by that point, it's really hard for me to get up and go do more work. I could if I really had some time crunch things, but usually I just end up going to bed. So anywhere in that range. Sometimes they're more revved up and Kellen got home later and they wanted to see him. And so they may get to bed by, like, we're already in there at 9:30, but maybe they're to bed by 10. So that time frame is what works for me. But hopefully that was helpful for you guys today to just give you an example of, okay, we're in February. By this point, so many people have already quit on their goals, whether it's their health and fitness goals or they've fallen off the bandwagon with their business. People already have felt like they're falling short up to this point. I think it's January 19 is like Quitter's Day or something like that. I learned that this year. But so literally people have already quit on their goals by this point. Most of the time, I think it's like 70%. It's some kind of crazy high number. And a lot of times it just comes down to having a lack of preparedness. Doesn't mean you don't have the desire, just it's hard when you don't have a roadmap, and especially if you're treading into new waters. It's hard when you maybe don't know exactly what next steps, but usually you have an idea of some steps, like this new project I'm doing. I there's so many things I don't know the answers to for it, but I know at least a few things I could do to start finding more answers to lead to each next step of what I might need to do next. So I'm going to plug those into those segments of, okay, investigate those few areas and see what answers I gain from that. And that's going to determine what I plug in the next day in the time slot I know that it works, right? Usually that second work day within the day. So the framework I think is just so helpful. And for me personally, it's not only made a very clean layout and it's helped me know where to put the things I want to do, but it's just giving you a place to plug in all the things you really do love and desire to have the most well-balanced life you can. Your life will never be perfectly balanced. We all know that to be true at this point. There's no such thing as this perfectly balanced life. But it sets you up at least for the best shot of being as well-rounded as you can. And then as you're in different seasons and maybe work needs to take a little more importance, or maybe you've done that for a while and you need to invest a little more into your family, you can see in your day where that can be, and you can focus even more deeply on those things. But it's just for me, it's just so helpful again. And again, if you're so busy too, it helps you know you're being efficient, not busy. You're not just being busy, you're actually being productive. And in each segment, breaking it down into a smaller segment of 6 hours as opposed to looking at this whole day makes it so much easier to be like, great, I've got a great mix in that segment of work, play, family fun, family interaction, social interaction, and then same thing in the next segment. And again, some people might have a more evenly laid out thing. If you have a straight 9 to 5 and no kids, yeah, that morning time can be you investing in yourself for your workout, whatever it may be. And then you go to work and you do all the work in the middle, and then you have the evening time, right? It sets it up in a really great way so that you can make sure that you're not getting burnt out and you're getting in the things you need. So hopefully that's helpful. Let me know if it was. Please DM me any other subjects you might want help on, but don't quit on your goals, guys. Really just sit down and try to get really intentional about what it is that you want to create in this world, what impact you want to leave. And then start writing down some action steps and then try on this framework to see if it helps you be able to get in more of the things that you've wanted to get done. You've just felt like you were too busy and in chaos to even think it was possible. Trust me, it's possible. There's people way more busier than me even, and this is the kind of stuff they have to do. They really have to break it down. And it takes a minute to do it. Like create some space to sit down and do it. It may take you an hour, but do that. Focus on it and try it out. I always also throw in, and I talked about this too on the retreat, but it's great to have a day they call bookending. And for me, a lot of times it's Sunday. And you can do a short version of it at the end of each day too, to prep for the next day and make sure you know what's going in each segment if things need to pivot or shift. But on Sundays, I like to look at what worked, what didn't. Did the time I allotted for different sections in my day, was that a good amount of time? Did that work? Did I need more or less time in different things, right? So you can also take one time a week to really think of what worked, what didn't. You maybe tried something on, it didn't work great. So then make the pivot, shift the framework as needed or the things in each category for the next week if you need to make some changes. But it just gives you this guide, this roadmap to do that instead of feeling just totally lost. So anyways, hope this was helpful. Hope you'll have a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, guys.